Good morning, grade 9, and welcome to this week's worked example. So this example is going to be question 42 taken out of your textbooks, and it's the guy rope. So let's read the question first and then just figure out what we know and where to go from there. So a guy rope is attached to the top of a tent pole and pegged into the ground so the rope is tight. If the rope is 3.8 meters long and the pole is 2.9 meters long, how far from the base of the pole should the rope be pegged if it is to be tight? So just from reading that, we've figured out two unknowns, and then we're getting a little bit of understanding of what this equation is going to be. So we have this diagram here, and from looking at it, it seems to be a right angle triangle because the tent pole is straight up from the ground and looks like it's forming a 90-degree angle. So if I just write that in, kind of looks like a right angle triangle there. Can you see that? And then the rope is to be tight, so that looks like the hypotenuse. So if we transpose this over into the diagram beside it, we have 3.8 meters is the rope length, and then 2.9 meters is the pole length. And we want to find how far from the base of the pole the rope should be pegged. So we're trying to find this here. So in previous classes, we've been exploring the Pythagoras theorem and how we can find the hypotenuse from the height and base of a right angle triangle. And then we've been doing some similar algebraic expressions and how to rearrange those. So we're going to be using the Pythagoras theorem. So let's write that up on the screen now. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this revolves around us finding the hypotenuse, but we've actually been given that in the question. So we need to find the base. And going off the previous lessons we've done, we know we can subtract that variable from this expression, and then we can isolate the one we want to find. So we want to find b. So that means we're going to subtract a squared from both sides to get a new function. So let's subtract a squared from both sides. And then we have a new equation that looks like this. B squared equals c squared minus a squared. So we're going to be using this to figure out the base length of the created triangle. So if we plug in what we know into the equation, we can start getting a better idea. So going on from this formula, we have b squared equals 3.8 squared minus 2.9 squared. So if we plug these values into a calculator, we will get b squared equals 14.44 minus 8.41, which equals 6.03. But that's what b squared equals. So to change b squared to the length we actually want, we have to square root both sides, because that's the opposite of a square. So let's try that now. Okay, so then in our final equation, we have b equals the square root of 6.03. So if we put that into our calculator, we can just use the square root symbol, which is just under the equals button on the graphic calculators that we're using. And then we get the length of 2.46. So we're looking at that and we're thinking 2.46 from the base of the pole is our length. So we're given the question in a worded format, so we have to give the answer in a worded format. So we can go, the peg should be placed (2.46 meters from the pole). And we're done. Thank you, class, and please go on to the next worked example.